Hello, this is Mark Selinsky, president of Kensington Security Consulting, where we bring education to national security. Today we will look at Spain, specifically the flood of North African migrants into Spain in late July and early August 2026. How did this happen? Why did this happen? What are the consequences? I will conclude with a tragic account of a young woman who literally could not live with her depression caused in large part by a migrant gang rape. Okay, let's start with the invasion. You likely read about it in the papers, but was it really an invasion? When I think about invasions, I think of Germans thrusting into Russia in 1941 or the Allies storming the beaches of Normandy 3 years later. Invasions are generally contested. They are often coordinated military operations that meet spirited resistance on the shores. Did this happen in Spain last month? Hardly. Let's take a look by first listening to the Prime Minister of Spain, Pedro Sanchez. Here he is. I'm the Prime Minister of Spain. This is why the West needs migrants. Imagine you're the leader of a nation and you face a dilemma. 500,000 or so people who are crucial to everyone's daily lives inhabit your country. And his solution? To legalize 500,000 migrants. It was not difficult to do this. So, that is what he said, and the legal system allowed him to do it. The Spanish Supreme Court ruled that migrants entering by sea could need to have their asylum claims reviewed before they could be deported. This could take years. When the word went out, thousands of Arab Muslims responded by entering Ceuta, a Spanish city in North Africa that shares a border with Morocco. And poor Ceuta, which has a population of 85,000 covering 7 square miles, was promptly swamped. And this is not the first time tiny Ceuta became inundated with a population it could not possibly absorb. At the time, Prime Minister Sanchez assured his countrymen that many newly arrived would be returned to Morocco. Some were, but many were not. They were, in the terms of the Spanish government, regularized. Did Spain benefit from this regularization? Migrants, and Sanchez claimed, had given Spain a booming economy and urged Americans and Europeans to accept mass migration. He continued, "What is working for us can work for others. The time has come for leaders to speak clearly to their citizens about the dilemma we all face. We, as Western nations, must choose between becoming closed and impoverished societies or open and prosperous ones. Governments can buy into the far right's zero sum thinking and retreat into isolation, scarcity, selfishness, and decline." Oh, well, this is quite a claim. Yes. Sanchez offers Western nations a binary choice: become, in his words, closed and impoverished, or open and free. Governments that choose the former sink into isolation, scarcity, selfishness, and decline. Really? Does he offer evidence to support this? Has Britain become more open, free, and prosperous as a result of the half century of third world immigration? Are Britons getting better jobs? Are they happier? Is the standard of living better? A few months ago, a credible report estimated that Great Britain was poorer than Mississippi. So Britain is now poorer than the most impoverished state in the Union. Is this a consequence of immigration? Perhaps not all of it. But did it contribute? You decide. Sanchez has his detractors. Nabil Busada, a popular blogger, opined, "Of course you are the Prime Minister of Spain. Your loyalty must be to Spain and to the citizens of Spain. If the West needs migrants, they must choose the correct ones, not those who have already committed murder, rape, beheading, theft, destroyed churches, and kidnapped, and who live on welfare. Their target is to Islamize the West. If you are accepting more Muslims as migrants, it means you agree with and support all the crimes they are committing daily against your citizens." Well, Basada may have overstated this, but many Europeans would agree with the gist of it. By August 2nd, Moroccans had swarmed into Spain at the repeated invitation of Spanish authorities. The invitations were both active and passive. Spanish leaders toasted the benefits of their newly naturalized countrymen in speeches on television and on social media. They also encouraged greater migration through passivity. Not all is perfect, of course, there are problems. But whom do Spanish leaders blame for the problems? Who is the default villain? Israel, of course. Let me explain. This is from the Algeminer. Spanish Transportation Minister Oscar Puente issued a sharp rebuke that appeared to suggest Israel was behind the crisis, promoting claims that Jerusalem was attempting to undermine Spain. Things are starting to become quite clear, the Spanish official wrote in a post on X. Things are becoming clear? Well, it's not clear to me. And the evidence for this? There is none, because Israel had nothing to do with the situation. So, why the accusations? And why would Israel do this? Well, I have several ideas. First, the leftist government in Madrid despises Israel and, to some extent, the Trump administration. I have repeatedly discussed the Green-Red alliance of leftists and Muslims. This alliance is particularly strong in several European countries, including Spain. The Spanish press is fiercely anti-Israel. In an Instagram post, Spanish political commentator Carolina Alonso accused Israel of collaborating with Western right-wing forces to undermine Spain through immigration. These accusations also divert attention and blame from Spaniards towards the all-powerful hidden hand of Israel. Then there is rank anti-Semitism, which has reached a fever pitch. Last week, French Jewish tourists were harassed as they left a synagogue in Barcelona. It is often dangerous for Jews to walk the streets in identifiable Jewish clothing in Spain. And for Spain's future? Well, Pedro Sanchez sees blue skies and sunlit uplands. How do we know? He told us so. In fact, he told us so repeatedly. Others are not so sanguine. They point to strains on Spanish society resulting from absorbing roughly 1 million migrants. What will happen to Spain's hospitals and medical clinics, residential housing, education, and security? Let's take a look at what Florida Governor Ron DeSantis posted about Spain. It doesn't take Sherlock Holmes either to recognize that leftist policies are destroying the West. Yet many populations continue to vote in hard leftists. The self-hating mentality of leftists who hold personal values that do not align with those of any Muslim country is sinking the West, as those same leftists oversee the inundation of Western countries with millions of Muslim migrants. Finally, let's leave Spain by acknowledging the death of a young woman who died by suicide after being gang raped by migrants and traumatized to the point of attempting suicide. Noelia Castillo of Barcelona died by lethal procedure at an assisted living facility in Spain. Castillo has been confined to a wheelchair since 2022 when she attempted suicide by jumping from a fifth-floor building after being left traumatized by a horrific gang rape. She wanted to die, explaining, "I want to go now and stop suffering, period. None of my family is in favor of euthanasia, but what about all the pain I've suffered during all these years?" Were the migrants who raped her Muslims? I don't know. Do you? Despite searching the internet, I could not confirm their countries of origin. Some stories refer to them as North African, so we can only guess. This wraps up this episode. Nothing I said represents the official position of the United States government. If you are interested in Muslim-European relations, please consider picking up my latest book, Cauldron of Terror: Hamas, Israel, and the World. On behalf of Kensington Security Consulting, this is Mark Solinsky, out here.